So I'm standing here today at the remains of Fort Mississauga from the War of 1812, built in 1814. This is built at the mouth of where the Niagara River dumps into Lake Ontario here, and it's hard to see on film here, but if you squint through off in the distance here, we see today's modern Toronto skyline, which was known as Fort York during that period. On the other eastern shore of the river here, you see today's Fort Niagara historic site, which was settled initially by the French and built this large building known as the castle in the late 1600s to serve as a trading post on this Niagara frontier, which was key to that period when the French and the British were vying for control of this part of North America, of course with the indigenous peoples having lived here for thousands of years previously. In 1813, when the American forces lay siege and then later occupy Fort George, which is a little further down the way here, they burned that in December of 1813, burned the town of Newark, which was the capital of Ontario at the time. It's today's Niagara-on-the-Lake, a lovely little tourist town. And then the British fortify this position with this star fort, which is a little hard to see, but it is the only star fort that was ever built and remains here in Canada. So this is just another example of those fortifications that were built to defend these key waterways, like this place where the Niagara River runs into Lake Ontario. And of course, if you continue down the river here to the south, eventually you'd make your way down past today's Niagara Falls area, and all the way to what was Fort Erie in the era that dumped into Lake Erie. So this would provide that waterway of defense and trade and supply for settlers and armies during that 1812 period, just as it had during the periods before, and served as an important waterway afterward. And so there's not a whole lot here nowadays in this kind of quiet remains of what was Fort Mississauga. There is an 18-hole golf course, which is quite lovely if you're into that kind of thing. But this is just another example of all of those powerful nations from around the world that were vying for this key part of North America in the 1600s, 1700s, and into the 1800s.